The Ombudsman for Children in Sweden is in the country to strengthen the cooperation between the Philippines and Sweden in ensuring that the children's rights are being recognized, protected, and promoted. This cooperation between the two countries is part of a 3-year program, and this year, the Philippines and Sweden will focus on juvenile justice. Let's talk more about this campaign. We have here in the studio Swedish Ambassador Annika and Attorney Lina Nibai, the Ombudsman for Children in Sweden. Good afternoon to you both, and thank you very much for coming. Well, an ombudsman for children is a sort of alien concept for Filipinos. Perhaps you might explain what the job is about.
Yes. To be a children's ombudsman in Sweden, I'm the boss of a governmental authority charged with the task to represent children and young people's interest according to the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child. And we also have the task to try to promote the implementation of the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child, and we have to monitor the adherence to the convention. So we use questionnaires to check if the municipalities, the county councils or the governmental authority really try to give children the rights they have the right to get.
And when you find violations, what do you do about them?
We try to highlight the problems for the government. We give an annual report to the government in Sweden, and in their annual report we try to highlight problems that we think the government have to handle in one or another way. And of course we also use media in Sweden. We try to highlight problems and try to get decision makers to be more aware of children's rights and children's needs.
Well, because I noticed that in the description of your job it says the ombudsman may not supervise other authorities and by law may not interfere in individual cases.
No, we cannot handle individual cases, but even though we don't handle individual cases, we of course use the examples and highlight problems in our society, and especially we try to highlight the lack of listening to children and young people, because we are, as grown-ups, often think that we know better than children, but in some areas they actually know much better than we do.
Well, I felt I had to bring that up because our understanding of an ombudsman here, as I actually mentioned in previous news items, the ombudsman actually does prosecute, is on top of
and that's
cases.
actually typical in Sweden too. We are the only ombudsman working on a general level, but that's mainly because we try to highlight children's rights on a general level, and we try to get the children's rights into the legislation. So we are not handling individual cases, but other ombudsmen in Sweden, they do that.
Okay. When Sweden sets up an office such as yours, does that indicate that the state of children's rights in Sweden is probably higher than most of the rest of the world? Perhaps the ambassador might be able to answer.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that the office of the ombudsman and that being established in Sweden is a reflection of the strong support that the Swedish government is putting into promotion of children's rights, and that this is reflected in the establishment of the office of the ombudsman. And I wouldn't say that children's rights are so much better respected in Sweden than in other countries in the world, but it's at least something that is taken very seriously, and that's why we have this ombudsman who plays the advocate for children, who has the advocacy role to really be the watchdog that children's rights are being respected in all levels of the society, on the local level, regional and national level.
And Sweden has a national strategy how to implement the UN Convention on Children's Rights in all work, and that's actually a national strategy was taken by the parliament unanimously, so all the parties agree that children's rights are very, very important. So that's maybe the best sign that this is important issues.
Now, what is the significance of the partnership between the Philippines and Sweden? Why did you pick the Philippines, or is it do you do this with all other countries that are also parties to the UN Convention?
Actually, it's the ambassador's initiative. So,
well, it's an initiative that I think should also, go to the Human Rights Commission, because the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission is very interested and engaged in the promotion of children's rights. And she approached me, and we had a discussion if this would be an area where we could cooperate. And this is the result of that discussion. And of course the Ombudsman was then also very willing to come to the Philippines and start this cooperation project.
Normally we just work with children in Sweden, so this is actually a development money from Sweden that pays us to do this. Otherwise we couldn't do it because we are working with children in Sweden.
At the same time, I understand that there was a substantial grant that was provided for this, I suppose this part of the project. Yes, one that was came from Swedish aid agencies as well as the Swedish
development agency.
Yes, SIDA, which is our governmental development agency, has funded the 3-year project because of course it costs money. The exchange of view is not only just working on the internet and sort of exchanging information, but it's really about training and study visits and field trips and so on. So the Ombudsman has been here 3 times in the Philippines, and we have also had several delegations from the Philippines to Sweden to see how we are working with children's rights, not only in the Ombudsman's office but also in the prosecuting, in the legal system, in the police work and so on.
We have had a focus in the whole project for children in conflict with the law, and we also have in Sweden quite hard work to get the court proceedings more child-friendly, so actually we learn a lot too. Of course we have a little bit better situation in Sweden for children in conflict with the law, but still we need much more of a child perspective among judges, prosecutors and lawyers. So we try to develop our work at the same time as we have a dialogue with our friends in the Philippines, and also of course give the experience we have to our friends here, but we also get a lot of knowledge from them because they work more straight on with the children. They have more direct contact. As we are working more on the general level, they give us more information in the real contact with children.
You've been here thrice before?
Twice before.
Okay, now I'm sure you probably saw then the process by which the Juvenile Justice Act was eventually passed. I mean, do you detect a change? Do you detect an improvement?
Yes, we can see a change, and that's really important, and you are going definitely in the right way. There are still steps to take, but it's really good that you can't put children in who are 9 years old in prison. I mean, that's wrong, and that's really a good development. So. And also some of my friends have been to the detention center today, and they can see it's a better situation than we had before, and that's important because we would what we saw at the detention center 1 year ago and 2 years ago was definitely not a good situation for children because they have to be helped from crimes, not be taught more crimes.
Right, which was what happened when they were mixed with adult offenders.
Of course, and even if a young person who maybe just took bread to get some food meet children who have been stealing mobile phones for several years, of course they get the knowledge that you don't want to give the small kids. So it's really good not putting them into prison or detention centers.
But so what changes to the detention center situation have you been able to detect?
What we have seen is less children in the detention centers. They are older, and maybe the environment is a little bit better, the facilities are a little bit better. But of course still you need to work with the process, you need to have a more child-friendly process, you need to have more child-friendly judges and prosecutors who can see the problems from a child perspective. And actually that's also a problem we have in Sweden, even it's on another level, but still you need to have the language, the environment in the courts. I mean, the whole process must be a way of keeping children away from being there once again. You must help them to prevent crimes instead of giving them a career in crimes.
And yes, so